Good morning. Good morning, brothers. This is Dr. Oshan Gadsden, aka Oshan, and as promised, I am recording our first installation of our weekly thought or word for our group, Brothers in Conversation. You will see me from time to time with the head wrap. I am in the beginning stages of my lock journey, or my second time around lock journey, and I'm a little um, I don't know. I don't like the look right now, and so as it grows, I'll take the head wrap off. But I just wanted to share that with you. I hope each and every one of you are having a great start of your week. Ashe, which simply means, and so it is. Namaste. I see the divinity and God in each and every one of you. And I'm so glad that each and every one of you have decided to be a part of our group on Facebook, Brothers in Conversation. I want to recap for some of you that may have not read it in the long thread that this purpose of this group is to be a group of accountability, a group of mutuality, a safe space where brothers can come from various locations geographically and various social locations as it relates to identity and subjective experiences, and really come together and have conversation, obviously, comment, share your services, your books, the things that you are doing in the world that uplift the world and specifically uplift Black masculinities, Black men and males across the diaspora, and a place for us to grow and expand in our understanding of ourselves, to expand our vulnerability to one another and for one another. As you might imagine, I have great ideas for this Facebook group. I certainly want us to move from the Facebook group to a virtual men's accountable group, free of charge, probably on a monthly basis as we get into this thing on Facebook, and as it becomes more of a norm for us, part of our schedule, and as we have more conversations ensue, it is my intentionality that Brothers in Conversation would move to a virtual platform where we can meet monthly free of charge and really talk about these things and things that come up in our Facebook group more with more nuance, with more intimacy, with more vulnerability, and a little bit more structure. And then from moving there to Brothers in Conversation podcast, and of course, Brothers in Conversation conference and retreat. So there's lots of ideas that I have about this, and I know that they will manifest because you're here. And as some of the brothers wrote in their introduction to who they were last night, they were saying, many of you were saying, I'm glad that this group is here. I look forward to growing. I look forward to sharing. I look forward to being a part. And so we know that there is a continued need for a space for us to be together, not just to socialize. We know how to socialize, but we want to socialize without the mask. We want to use this space as a space for us to grow psycho-spiritually, psycho-culturally, and to lend each other our ideas and lend each other our subjectivities for the embetterment of us individually, but for the embetterment of the Black male collective across the diaspora. And we have to start somewhere. And what better way to start than with the group of men that are already a part of Brothers in Conversation Facebook group. Ashe, ashe. And so I want to just talk this week, the word for the week. And as I certainly want to be clear about, and as I mentioned in our thread on last evening, is that although we will be having weekly words of the day, words of the week, excuse me, that will come out on Monday afternoons. It is my hope that I am not the only one facilitating or creating those words for the weeks or those thoughts for the week. And so I invite you, if you want to facilitate a thought for the week or word for the week, please DM me on my Facebook or Instagram and let me know so that we can start a schedule and we can put that schedule together to hold each other accountable so that we know amongst us who is going to be contributing for what week. Okay, so the word for this week, or the thought for this week, is a word that comes from relational psychoanalysis. And I'm teaching a class this semester called Relational Psychoanalysis, and I'm teaching it from a Black centered decolonial perspective because there are many constructs and ideas, both theoretically and clinically, that come from relational psychoanalysis that is universal and one could argue are African in nature. And so I want you to understand the framework in which I am coming to this word of the week or thought of the week from. And so the word or the construct that I want us to think about this week is mutual recognition. Mutual recognition. And from a relational psychoanalytic perspective, mutual recognition is when both the therapist and client see each other as full, real subjects. And of course, none of us are each other's therapists. And so we're talking about this from a personal perspective. We're talking about mutual recognition as that phenomenon, that interpersonal phenomenon that you feel fully seen by the other and who you are relating to, that you are both real subjects, not objects, right? But real subjects, that you're coming to the relational, the relationship, the relational context, being fully yourself, being fully received and seen for the multi-complexity that you are, and receiving the other as such. The other definition of mutual recognition that I like is this phenomenon where both people, all parties in the group, are seen as real, separate objects. And oftentimes we get into relationships, not just romantic relationships, but even coworkers, friends, other family members, where we are not seen as real separate objects, or we don't see other people as real separate objects. And oftentimes, you know, brothers, that as Black men, we are often not seen by our spouses, children, and other people as real separate objects. We're often subjects, not objects, excuse me, subjects. We're often seen because we play a role that satisfies the needs of others. We're often seen as daddy, often seen as spouse, often seen as boss, often seen as co-worker. And of course, I don't have to tell you, often seen through deficient models of Black masculinities, where we're often seen as dangerous, uncouth, etc., etc. And so we know as Black men that we are often, there's usually no mutual recognition that happens as it relates to folks that are non-white. But let me share with you that this idea of not being seen fully not only happens as a consequence of us being Black men with other raced people, but even our spouses and children and others within our community have also been socialized intergenerationally, often on an unconscious level, to not regard us as fully human, fully separate, with our own emotions, with our own desires, with our own boundaries, hello, with our own capacities. Oftentimes as Black men, we are pushed and asked to do without any reciprocity, without being seen as fully human, that has emotions, that has a stop button, that has boundaries. And so mutual recognition is that capacity for the other to fully see you as real, to fully see you as separate, individuated. What does that mean? That you have your own desires, that you are not just here on earth to provide or supply emotional or physical provision, but that you have a need to be provided for. You have a need to be held, and you have a need to be full yourself. You have a need to be spoken into. And so I want you to ask yourself, are my relationships right now, do they manifest mutual recognition? Because healing only occurs relationally when each party acknowledges the other's subjectivity. Does your spouse see your subjectivity? Do your children see your subjectivity? Do your friends and family members see your subjectivity? Or are you living a masked role of identity that has people assuming that you don't have needs of your own? Have you opened up? Have you shared your boundaries? Have you given people an understanding that not only am I a giver, but I am a receiver? Not only can I see your needs, but I need you to observe my needs. Are your relationships a manifestation of mutual recognition? Now, not only that, but are you able to mutually recognize the other? In this space that we've created, that is one of the most important underlining frameworks that we must have as we continue and grow in Brothers in Conversation. We must have the ability to mutually recognize one another, mutually be able to take the other in, to hear the other beyond their words, but their emotionality and their experiences, and to have empathy for the experiences of others, as well as wanting empathy for yours. And so I challenge us this week, I challenge us to think about this term, mutual recognition. Is it in operation in your relationships? Where can mutual recognition grow? What relationships need a deeper level of mutual recognition? How does race and sexual orientation and class and our social locations hinder the capacity to be mutually recognized and to mutually recognize the other? These are some of the questions that I'd like us to think about and talk about this week in our comments in our Facebook group. And anything that may come up for you as it relates to anything that I've said that I may have not even said or maybe have missed, I want you to add that to the conversation. You'll be surprised that there are brothers that need your words, that need your perspective, that need to hear your voice. As we all need to be heard, we all need to hear. And so I say to you, ashe, ashe, mutual recognition. Think about it, be about it, and let's heal to the place where we see each other holistically, where we can take each other in because we've already taken in ourselves. Ashe.